The three battlefields of life that men or humans deal with: the internal battlefield, which is the struggle, the internal dialogue. We have the business field, and we have the home field. I don't believe that any human being can have balance. I think you have to figure out what works for you. You cannot be running all three optimized. You can't. If something's wrong with my wife, then work's going to suffer. But you have to bounce back and keep it running at a high RPM. And that's what we're doing with these men. We are a physical, mental, and emotional breakdown and reset. I always hear that famous saying, I think it's by, and I love Andy and Sal Frisella, I'm in the business of building MFers up. I'm in the business of breaking them down. You can't do what you do. You need people, and it's always Steve and I, right? The bad guys. Scott Hall, he recently passed away, God rest his soul, and he says, bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
Ray, welcome to the Superman Life, brother.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me. I'm pumped.
Yeah, man. I'm pumped too, man. I know you've been, all over the place for years, man, from being in movies to SEAL teams to CIA. I really think I came onto your work. You went viral like about a year ago. And I know the post that I'm going to dive into. It's a black and white video. You're standing in a guy's face. I think it was at one of your projects, and you're just laying into him about electrolytes and get back to work. Question, Ray, what takes a successful man to hire another successful man to scream at him like that?
I think a man that knows and has accepted the fact that he needs external help. He's tried everything he can. Look, you're talking to a man that just recently started going to church. I'll be completely honest with you. My wife is a huge Christian. My daughter goes to a Christian academy. And I need help. All men on planet Earth, all human beings need external help. Something, again, I now want to make this very clear. I am not comparing myself to the man upstairs. I'm saying to something of a bigger purpose, a higher calling. I fall in the low bearing fruit of that, right? So our program is to help men who have exhausted every means of their lives and are looking for something else. They're looking for the external help. Who knows? Maybe with some of them, they're not religious. That doesn't refer to me. Some maybe have tried and they needed more of a swift kick to the ass/butt type approach. But the true symbolism of that clip where I went viral with all the language was it had nothing to do about electrolytes. It had nothing to do, and people that understand what this training, it had to do with everything else he was putting off, making excuses for, rolling his eyes at, because he is a father and a husband. So the reason I get so infuriated with that, and I'm guilty of it, is, a lot of men don't practice what they preach. I've been guilty of it, and I'm definitely working harder at it. So when I get mad, it's not because he wanted electrolytes. It's because of all the other things that he makes excuses for that he thinks he wants, but he doesn't need, right? And that's why I get so angry with people. And there's only two types of people in this earth: people that get it and people that don't, because there's no black and white, or there's no gray with me. I'm one way or the other. You either love Ray Cashcare or you hate him. But I know there's the epic but with the little quotes. We are making a difference. Him and I are great friends. He has changed it. He has done a 180 in his life. He's a better father. He was already successful. He's chasing another dream of his that he wants to be. I've heard from his wife and his children that thank you for making daddy better. And that's what it's about. So if I have to be the social media, Instagram, TikTok, they love me too, bad guy, so be it. Because what we allow, Bedros allows people to see, is exactly what we want them to see. That's it. We don't want them to see the real growth because, we've made better men, better fathers and husbands. I get grief for the way I talk to these young men. I'm not being physically violent with them. I'm not being degrading. I'm not even getting up in their face. I'm just talking to them the way that we were probably talked to as children. And the problem with, I'll tell you right now, I'll come right out of the gate. The problem with America is everybody thinks they're entitled and enabled to all this stuff. And between you and me and all the listeners, the only thing you're really entitled to is a good ass whooping when you act like a jackass. Pardon my language. And that's why I'm who I am. I don't come from great upbringings. I don't come from a lot of money. I don't have a lot of money. But I'm a very rich man when it comes to, my family, my fitness. Um, so a little bit with the finance, but my faith, so that's where I'm very successful. And if I got to break a few eggs or hurt a few feelings in the process, as Bedros says, so be it.
100%, man. And I definitely want to get maybe a little bit more into your upbringing and what makes Ray, right, and how you click. I'm curious, he said something, kind of at the beginning. All these guys coming to you, they're all successful, right? Like to join the project, it's not a drop in the bucket. Like this is a high ticket. Like these guys are dropping 5 figures to participate in this 75-hour endeavor. You had said that many of them have exhausted some of their other resources, or they exhausted all these other attempts. What are you finding is the state of mind for these guys? What are some of the things that they've tried to get the breakthrough, to get the transformation that hasn't worked, that leads them to finding you guys?
Well, they've read a book, like
Okay.
perfect example. And again, everybody thinks I'm a huge fan of Dave Goggins. I love what he does. But David Goggins' book, when you close the book, then what? Or Jocko's book, or all these amazing, and they're all amazing books. They're amazing. I'm actually starting to listen to them. A book doesn't do it. A counselor doesn't do it. You need real life experience with people who are there up in your face, up close and personal. And truth be told, a lot of the issues that all these men have gone through and exhausted, we've already been there and done that. So it's not like I'm a subject matter expert in making you money. I'm a subject matter expert in just screwing up. Believe me, I could get my wife on here and she'll tell you. Um, and that's the thing. Everybody sees, oh my, you're doing so awesome, but it's the story that it took for me to get here. And that's why I won't let up. I won't let up off the throttle. People have tried books, they've tried seminars, they've tried counselors. The problem is with us is, you know, once you pay in, you buy in, you're in for life if you make it. There's no reoccurring fee here. Like a perfect example, I've gone to a counselor before. I know some people that are counselors, they know what the problem is immediately. But what do? They try to string you along because they want this. You know, you're paying, the astronomical amount because it costs just, I didn't know anything about business. Running people through these courses, everybody thinks you just, it's not profitable. It's not a profitable course. Everybody thinks you guys make gazillions of dollars, gear, facilities, medical, like just the
Insurance is
insurance.
probably through the roof.
Bedros, I didn't believe him, which is something, don't ever question Bedros on that because he dialed me in real quick. The pay the individuals that are here, and people think that, when we were charging 15, we're charging 6 and 7 now, and it's getting ready to go up even more. People think they're under the impression that Ray Cash Care is making that money. And here's a news flash. I get a salary. I don't get, I don't get commission. I get a salary. And Bedros, if you don't like it, beat it. I like my salary. So everybody's under the impression that, I'm driving around and this and this and this. I mean, I've got my dream truck, but I work hard for it, man. And, I don't have the Lamborghinis and the jets and all that crap. Everybody, I live in the same house I've lived in for 20 years.
Yeah, I've never gotten that impression from you, Ray, man, that you're out
No, but
there,
on these
blinging
social
watches
media
around and
platforms, I mean, I'm here I am, but everybody, that's the thing. Everybody has an opinion. Like, I don't want your opinion. I want advice. And that's what we give people at the project. Like, if you wanted to, if you're trying to tell me how to be a Navy SEAL, that's really not going to have an impact on me. If I want to learn how to run a successful podcast, great. I'm all ears. So we stay in our lanes, and each one of the instructors is a subject matter expert in screwing up in some fashion. And we've learned from it and we've earned from it, from business to, the three battlefields of life that men or humans deal with: the internal battlefield, which is the struggle, the internal dialogue. We have the business field and we have the home field. I don't believe that any human being can have balance. I think you have to figure out what works for you. Like, because when you're struggling with the family, you cannot be running all three of those optimize. You can't, like, if something's wrong with my wife, then work's going to suffer. If some, and that but you have to bounce back and keep it running at a high RPM. And that's what we're doing with these men. We are a physical, mental, and emotional breakdown and reset. What is it? I always hear that famous saying. I think it's by, and I love Andy and Sal Frisella. I'm in the business of building MFers up. I'm in the business of breaking them down. You can't do what you do. Bedros can't do what he does. All these six, Sean Whalen, you know, you need people, and it's always Steve and I, right? The bad guys, Diamond Dallas Page is a great friend of mine. Scott Hall, he recently passed away, God rest his soul. And he says, bad times don't last, but bad guys do. We are the bad guys, and I am proud to be the bad guy, because without people like me, just physically, mentally, emotionally breaking you down to the core essence of who you are, to the point where you don't know what day it is, what time it is, what's up, what's down, you can't climb that mountain. And here's the thing. People one time saw me on a hoverboard and a cracked foot. I still showed up. Bedros is like, stay home. I'm like, no, sir. When people see us doing these things, when you see us crawling these people through rocks and this, we are literally, they have to channel their energy and go somewhere else, because most human beings run on ultra low frequency to a high frequency, ultra high frequency. And we're going to be misunderstood, and people aren't going to want to be a part of it, because no one is willing to put in the work, the time plus the effort to get the results that it takes to be successful in your business, in all three of your battlefields. Everybody wants this, but nobody's willing to put in the work. But like I said before, I'm not a growth coach. That's Bedros. I'm a pain coach. I create pain because I've been through pain, to make human beings realize that their normal lives are really not that bad. And when men don't understand it, it's like going through Hell Week. You don't understand what's going on, and through your life, you will get segments of it. I have guys come up to me and they thank me for that. The guy that I put through that course, when he was rolling his eyes, he thanked me for that afterwards. But of course, we're not going to show that, because it went viral. And let me tell you what, getting 60,000 followers in a month is 60,000 problems. It's not a good thing.
I bet, yeah. Everybody wants the fame and accolades until they get the fame and accolades and realize
Oh,
that
and
it just comes with
I made the
it.
memes and I did all this stuff. I mean, I enjoy it. Listen, I tell people, say whatever you want about me. Just leave my family out of it, right? I have a great wife, I have a great daughter, I have a great son. They're not involved with this. If you don't, take your shots at me.
It comes down to what you said, though, man. Is it's funny here. You're in real life, and you're face to face with these guys, and you're putting them through real world struggles. The internet has created an environment where you can speak to anybody in any way that you possibly want without having any consequence. I guarantee any person that called you out, had they been standing there face to face with you, would not have said a single thing that they would sit behind the keyboard and type away. I haven't broke through your level, but we had a couple posts that went viral on TikTok over the summer, 700, 800. I think we had one that surpassed 1 million. Is like entering into that side of the internet is like, whoa, whole different ball game than like the 10, 15, 20,000 we had been getting before. I love how you talked about, like, you're the pain coach. I'm curious how much pain these guys are in before they find you. So in addition to running this podcast, I work in the addiction space, right? I help guys that are struggling with pornography addiction break through that, build themselves back up, and then go out and conquer the world that they're set forth, right? But I get asked a lot of times is, where are these guys at when they reach out to me? A lot of times it's a rock bottom. They've been caught by the wife. They just can't break through. They're suffering and they're in pain. So I'm curious with you, these guys are coming to you to be put into pain, but are they in pain before they show up? And if so, what's transpiring in their life that is like, okay, now I got to go spend 75 hours with these guys and get my ass handed to me?
I think you hit it on the head. We have porn addiction, we have drug, we have alcohol, we have infidelity, we have, all the triggers, the pains, the, what's the word I'm looking for? The vices, if you will, good or bad, that men go through. And I think, how it normally starts out is they see something and it resonates with them, right? The message that Bedros puts on, first it resonates with them, and I think the reason the message resonates with them is because I think they can hear in Beatrice's voice that the instructors there have been through similar things. The things that I have gone over, I have been, I'll just say one or two of them I have been guilty of, of having those vices. And it's a struggle. That's, whatever that is. So when these men come to us, yes, they're broken. They've tried this, they've tried that, and it hasn't worked. Some of them, we've had even an ultimatum with the wife. We've had some men that are just like, my life's not really that bad. I just feel like I'm getting complacent or I'm getting numb, and I don't want to be a better human because we talk about the savage servant, right? If you're a man, and I always lay the same scenario out when I'm speaking and I'm talking to these individuals, I'm like, listen, you're at a park, you're with your wife, and you have children. And they're like, okay. I'm like, they're sitting 20 feet in front of you. You're taking pictures of them. I'm walking up in a fast, aggressive pace. Men know. I don't have to explain it to you. You can only do one thing. What are you going to do? And every single one of them goes, I'm going to position myself in between you and my family. And I go, is that because you're a savage or a servant? Because I'm a savage. I'm like, no, it's because you're a servant. You're a servant to God. You're a servant to your wife and your children. Because make no mistake about it, you picked her. She chose you. I don't know how that you understand the difference, right? When you first meet a woman, you're like my wife. She's so hot. I got her tattooed on my arm. I have no business being with her. I picked her. I was like, well, she's the one. She chose to go out with me. And then when I took a knee and asked her father, who's the size of Nebraska, will you allow me to marry your daughter? She has a past with some bad exes. He oh so delicately let me know what was going to happen if I did, and I respect him for it because I have a daughter. But what I explained is from the minute you took the knee, right? Think about when knights get knighted, you become of a higher power. You're taking a knee to this woman and you're giving yourself to her. And when you stand back up, right, you're not knighted. You have started the process of marriage. And your job is to be a savage servant. That's why we wear these shirts, right? You have to serve her. All right. You and I getting into a fight isn't because we're savages. It's because you're a servant to your wife and you will do whatever it takes to defend them because human beings have roles. Now, I know they're single moms and sometimes this doesn't apply. So, for all the single moms out there, I grew up with a single mom. I've got nothing but respect for you. But normally speaking, men are more physically dominant than women. That's just how it is. I didn't make up the rule. So the two lions will fight, right? If an intruder comes in. Just like if someone were to break into my house, my wife knows what to do if I'm home and I'm not home. We have roles. And it's not because, I want to go downstairs and be a savage, but I'm a servant. I work hard for what's mine. And if any man comes into my home and tries to take what's mine, he will get a savage servant because I will serve my family and I will serve justice accordingly. Um, and and I will be swift with my actions because I feel like I am one of the luckiest men in the world to be married to the greatest woman in the world, and I have the greatest kids in the world. Everybody says that. And that's my mentality, my mindset. So, bottom line, you can't try to take what's mine. Stand by, brother, because I'm going to roar, and it's because I am a servant of God and my wife, and what I call team care. And team to me stands for trust, effort, attitude, and mission. And my mission is growth: physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and financial growth. I create growth. That's what I am, and that's what I do.
Where did this desire to lead men, inspire men, lift them up, all the work that you're doing? I know you mentioned single mom, not the greatest upbringing. Was this something you knew from a young age that you were going to be leading men? Is this something that was really built out of you through your time in the SEALs? Tell us a little bit about your background and kind of how you ended up with Bedros doing this
Yeah,
work.
so single mom. Dad was murdered when I was 11. My parents, I came from a split family. They didn't have a great relationship. Grew up in a bad part of Baltimore. Got into a lot of trouble when my father was murdered. I was a very angry kid. I've always been a very violent, angry man. But I've still got anger issues. It's hard to control. That's one of my vices. Not on the family, but I do. Thank God someone created a punching bag and a speed bag. But very athletic, didn't really try hard in school, got along with everybody, got in a lot of fights, got cuffed a couple times, and I had to make a decision, and it was to join the military because I was going nowhere and fast. Joined the military, saw a pamphlet on the Navy SEALs, and right from the get go, was told, I took my ASVABs, which I bombed. You're not smart enough. You're not big enough. You're not fast enough. You're not strong enough. And I said, that's what I'm going to do. And I did it. And it took me. It was a long road. I had to take the ASVAB a total of 3 times because if a train's going 90 miles an hour west and one's going 80 miles an hour east, when they collide, I don't know. I've never been on a train. Um, if you have 3 holes in the boat, which hole's gonna fill up quicker? I don't know. I'm gonna patch all 3 boats. So I had to, I took the ASVAB the first time. I bombed it. I joined the military. Had to go in the regular Navy, which greatest thing I've ever done. Took it the second time, missed the combined aptitude score by 1 point. Everybody told me to quit, and they got a big whoop. That in between there, you're number one. And I got some external help and passed it the third time. True story. I like to tell this. A gentleman who believed in me, his name was Wyan Conklin, regular Navy guy. I was an E3, he was an E6. Helped me when I got the help. I had to wait a certain amount of time. So this takes about 2 years to get this to happen. Standing in front of him, and the third time, because it was pretty much, I had to wait a long time after this. Because how do you think I did? How do you think he did? I don't know why I won because I was scared shitless because I missed it for a point, a year earlier or 6 months earlier. And he goes, you passed. If you got any questions, now why? And this is probably the greatest advice any human being's ever given me. And he went from seaman care, because that's what I was, a seaman care, right? I know it sounds weird. He goes, Ray, he just kind of looked up at me. He goes, it doesn't matter what the score is. It matters what you do with the score now. And to this day, he will not tell me what my score is. Between you and I think I squeaked through, but you know what? It's I was given the opportunity. I started with my SEAL class, basic underwater demolition, BUDS class 200, finished with 200, did 12 years. I did eight years in the SEAL teams, 4 years in the regular Navy, switched over to the CIA, did that for 40 different deployments, ranging anywhere from 30 days to 100. And I think the biggest one I did was 105 days, 14 years with them. Met Bedros, funny enough, at a speaking event in Miami. I knew who he was. He didn't know who I was. Myself, Jason Redman, and Brent Gleason, both of those guys are amazing speakers. Get them on your podcast. I wish I could say something bad about them. I did carry Jason Redman through BUDS. That's a joke. We were in the same BUDS class, Hell Week class. But we just connected. We have a lot of pain. Next thing you know, I'm showing them what a stuntman is, where you drink the tequila, snort the salt, drink the tequila, rub the lemon in your eye. And he asked me to come out and work with his team because I'm really good with teamwork, problem solving, leadership, and communication because we do a couple different courses. We do corporate training too. Not many people know about that. We focus on, keep it simple, stupid, KISS. And I just use a lot of the military acronyms and ways of things in SEAL teams. And I went to his house, hit it off. He flew me out first class. He's fun. Sorry, he's a big pimp. Sorry about that. And we just hit it off. And I was still working for the agency. And in between that, I was telling him how I just wanted to help other people, men, especially children, because I don't want people to go through what I went through in a nutshell. And I don't want to talk about what that is. It just wasn't good. But I don't want that for anybody. And I didn't have a father. So, we put on the Squire course for young men between the ages of 11 and 16. We're even helping single moms out, providing mentors. The project for men that just are lost. I've been lost. That's a 75-hour kick in the butt where we physically, mentally, emotionally break you down. And then you're a part of something bigger than you. My back screen is the skulls that you see right here. We do the corporate training because too many people only focus on the one battlefield of life, which is the business field, not the home field or the internal. And then, now I do coaching and speaking, and I want to go around and make an impact on planet Earth. Right. And are you married?
Not no.
You got anybody in your life?
Not currently.
Okay. Well, it doesn't. Well, I'll give you an example of being impact. I've been with some women in my day, but this one, I call it the meteor. What do most meteors do? They come up through the atmosphere, they burn up, cute little light show, and you forget about them. But every now and then, that one meteor comes through that's so big, so powerful, so impactful, so mighty that the atmosphere doesn't stop it, and it hits the earth and leaves a mark. The symbolism is it hit and left the mark on me with my wife. When Bedros and I met, we were two meteors that were just we collided on Earth together and said, "Hey, what can we do here?" And we're making a difference. And what I tell people is, and I know this sounds harsh, is I don't care, which is my last name, if you like me or not. I'm here to stay. I will be helping men, children. We're even doing co-ed classes now until I can't do it anymore. And then once that's done, hopefully I'll find a worthy adversary who will take over and do this for me. And I'm going to sit back and just maybe yell from the background. I don't know, in the cheap seats, but I'm going to continue to do what I do. Not going to stop. I mean, you're talking to the guy that does, 1,000 push-ups a day. I do 1,320 on the weekends. Pastor Hank at Coastal Community College, my church, he did a sermon a couple months ago on resiliency. He's like, what are you going to say no to Pastor Hank? He's like, hey, I want you to come in. I'm like, yes, sir. And he goes, what do you need me to do? You want me to speak? Well, we have Jason Redmond for that. Jason's a big speaker. We do. Well, I'm doing 2 30-minute sessions, and I knew we were this way. I said, you want me to do the push-ups. So I had a break, 1,300. I did it 30 minutes, took a break, did it again because my wife actually speaks at church. But what does he do? He puts me front and center. And I'm like, really? But my point is he knows that there's different sides of me, right? Like there's certain things that he does and does not approve of. But when he sits down and asks me, why do you use the language? Why do you get so mad? And I explain it to him. He's like, I'm not saying I agree with it, but I'm not saying I don't disagree with it, right? And that's coming from Pastor H and Trevellis, who are two pastors. They get it, but they're just like, don't bring that here. And I'm like, of course not, right? Because recently, me and my wife and my daughter, over the summer, we got baptized together. It was really neat. Like, it was a big thing we do, but normally it was like we went out in the ocean and did it, right? And, the running joke was because there were a lot of other SEALs. Yeah, hold him down extra long, because I definitely am. Listen, I'm getting ready to turn 51, and I'm trying to be a better man. I haven't been the best human being in my life, but I take full responsibility for it. I'm an accountability for it. I do need to be a better father. Do need to be a better husband. Do need to be a better provider. Because the minute that I give up or slack on that, that's when I've given up on myself, and I won't do that. I won't. So I'm hard on myself. Case in point, I told you today, you were texting me like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm building a deck. I paid a guy like all this money to build a deck for his labor quit on him today. So I'm like, and he goes to my church. So I'm like, what do you need? He's like, well, I need a laborer. I'm like, well, let's get to work. And he was like, but I'm like, I'm still going to pay you the same amount, but I've been working all day. When we get off the phone, I'm going to go finish up my baseboards, and then take my daughter out to dinner.
Respect. You do 1,000 push-ups every day.
Every day. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't want to lie. I do it 5 days a week. And then on the weekends, I was doing it. It was known throughout everywhere. Instagram was giving me a hard time for it, saying I was creating domestic terrorists because I'm teaching people to do push-ups. So I was getting banned, and it was really hurting business. So I kind of laid off, but I still do them. So that's 22 push-ups on the minute, every minute for 1 hour. And I do that for veteran first responder suicide, which the number is, just so you know, much higher. But my body can't do lactic acid.
Got it. So it takes you an hour, and this is like non-negotiable every day, and then 13-20.
When I do my push-ups now, what I've been doing is I get up in the morning, I knock out 500. I usually knock out about 150, 200. Go downstairs, have my coffee, knock out finish up the rest of the 500. And then like today I was supposed to go to the gym and do it, but my buddy Clay needed me. So I'll finish up. I'll probably I already did 500. I'll probably do another 1,000 tonight. That'll be my workout on top of the deck.
Yeah. Curious if anything, I mean, obviously with your background, like how long have you been doing that? And what, if anything, has it done physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually? Like, what has been the benefit outside of like just doing shit that you don't want to do
Well,
every day? Is there
that's a
anything
great
you could?
question. So it's what I do is I practice what I coach on, right? So I coach on three things: discipline, breaking beliefs, and accountability. Right? Doing setting a goal creates accountability. So I'm creating accountability. Number two, discipline is getting up and doing it every darn day. And last is breaking beliefs, right? People tell me I can't, I can't, I can't. Take off that apostrophe T and you've got can. So what I'm doing is I'm just sharpening, right, the physical, mental, and emotional tool, which is my body, to do that. Because like I used, like I'm starting to incorporate Nick Kumalatos. If you ever get him on your podcast from the Fort something, I don't know, great podcast. He's changed the name, but the Nick Kumalatos, a recon raider, um, he does 100 burpees a day. I'm thinking about switching because I mean that's really exhausting. And I did them with him. So I'm thinking about incorporating that in there. So it just creates my triangle, my of trifecta, if you will, of breaking beliefs. So don't tell me you can't, right? Don't tell me that you don't have discipline, and don't tell me you don't have accountability, because humans, we all possess these traits. We just sometimes like you need someone. I tell people I can lead you to the water. You're a horse, but you have to drink it. So you have to drink it. Most people just aren't thirsty enough to create that triangle. I am. I'm going to be 51 years old, and I just went to SHOT Show. And some kid challenged me. It was cute. It was adorable.
What do you say to people that say they aren't motivated? Like, yeah, Ray, I'd love to do 1,000 push-ups a day, but I'm not motivated. I'm not motivated to go to the gym 5 days a week like you. I'm not motivated to go out and build a deck. I'm not motivated to do what it takes to quit pornography. Like, speak to like motivation if you can. Just I'm curious
Well,
your thoughts around
what
it.
you're doing is you're making an excuse. You're procrastinating on your inner capabilities and what you can accomplish. Right. So somewhere, somehow, someone down the line either puts you down or you listen. Here's the thing: you've probably failed a million times, and it's okay. This is what I tell everybody: you can fail all day long. Just don't quit. Just don't quit. Like listen. I've looked at pornography before, and I try not to as much, and I slip and I do it, but I try to get off of it. I mean, I'm going to be honest with it. But and there's been days where I don't go to the gym, and there's days where I don't do this, and there's days where I don't do that. But my mindset, my mentality is like, let's just use working out. It's all about programming the mind. You can program. Think about it. Watch this. We've never met before. What do you do before you cross the street? Tell me.
Look both ways.
Look both ways. What color? If a red light is red, what does that mean?
Sometimes speed up, but it means stop.
Okay. Yellow means what?
Fucking speed up. No, it
Speed,
means prepare to stop.
and green means go, right?
Go. Yeah.
All right. So, and we could go on and on. You've been programmed since birth to do things. My thing is you've been externally programmed. Why can't you internally program yourself? Right? That's what it's about. It's the internal dialogue, what I talked about. See, I say this in the course. Too many, let me finish, okay? And ladies, this does not pertain to you. Too many people go through life being, listen when I say, a bitch. A bitch. What I do is I train people internally to become the bitch. And people go, that doesn't make any sense. Yes, it does. A bitch is someone that procrastinates, puts things off, makes excuses, whines, wants everything for free. The bitch becomes intellectually sound, trainable, a communicator, and hard as nails. That's when you become the bitch. I've become intellectually right, sound, trainable, communicator, and hard as nails. Because one of the key successes in being successful is teamwork, problem solving, leadership, and communication. That's it. If you just focus on teamwork, problem solving, leadership, and communication, family, fitness, finances, and faith, and focus on your three damn F bombs, excuse me, your three battlefields, the internal struggle, the business, and the home, you will be a better human being. That's literally 11 things. 11 things versus, let's use New Year's resolutions. 8% of New Year's resolutions are only accomplished. 92% aren't. Why? Because everybody is shallow and wide versus narrow and deep. Pick one thing that you want to be better at. One thing. not two, not three, just one. And then guess what? If it's, let's even be materialistic. If it's, I want to make an X amount of money. Once you make that money, make another one, and then make another one. But too many people are like, here you go. I'm going to go to the gym and get in shape. Gyms for the first week are madhouse. What happens? They die off because they're not motivated. It's not because you're not motivated. It's because you don't have any damn discipline, because you don't have a plan, right? You don't have a routine. I tell people that all the time, like people that I coach, I need to go on a diet. No, you don't. You need a meal plan. Well, people say I'm overweight. No, you're not overweight. You're fat. And the reason why you're fat is because you don't have a meal plan. You don't have any discipline. You don't have any accountability. And you're not willing to break the beliefs that, oh, my mom and dad were fat, so I'm going to be fat. The dumbest thing I've ever heard. You know, it's now if you have a thyroid issue, we've got all this thing called modern medicine. We can work with it, but no. But yet you'll see me. I'll see a 300-pound person in the gym. You'll never see me make fun of someone. I will walk up to them and go, "You literally inspire the hell out of me. You don't motivate me, but you inspire the hell out of me. Thank you." Motivation. Listen, here's $1 million piece of advice for all you people out there. Motivation gets you moving. Discipline gets it done. Motivation is not enough. When people tell me you're a motivation, it infuriates me. Motivation is like a firecracker. Boom. And then what? It's gone. Discipline is, man, it just never stops. It's going 24 hours a day. I'm getting up the same damn time. What time you get up on the weekends? The same damn time.
So is discipline something that we must develop within? Is it something we create through our actions? Like if motivation
Yes,
is
to
fleeting,
both.
and what ultimately? So
Yes,
how can
yes.
one begin to develop or create
Well, you have to
discipline?
see. Number one, the only way you're going to have discipline is number one, if you believe in yourself. Like you are going to go nowhere in life if you were waiting for someone else to believe in you. You're not. You're not. Like I even tell kids this. Parents are like, that's a horrible thing to say. No, it's not. Just like shooting a gun. Everybody wants to dial in the optics, dial in the iron sights first, the things that never are going to go away. You need batteries for all this other stuff. Focus on the basics. You are the basics. You've got to believe in yourself. Once you believe in yourself and you know you can do this, then you need to pick the right crew that's going to support you. You need to have the right pit crew. You can't have a bunch, and everybody's got that one or two human being in their life that are negative Nancy that are going to drag you down. They're quicksand. They're going to kill you. They're going to talk you out of it. You know why they're going to talk you out of it? Because they tried it. It didn't work for them. So they want you to be just as miserable as they are. Cut them loose. Talk about trimming the fat. You have to believe in yourself. You have to surround yourself with the right people. And if you don't have the right people, do it by yourself. Do it by yourself. I don't have money to go to the gym. Fine. Do push-ups, sit-ups, and air squats. I don't have time. Bullshit. Give me 10 minutes. I'll do a 4-minute Tabata with you, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off of push-ups. We'll do that for 4 minutes. We'll do 4 minutes of a squat. We'll do 4 minutes of a leg lift. And you give me 30 days with great water intake, you will lose weight and get in better shape. It's not that hard. If someone doesn't have 12, the presidents have 12 minutes with their schedule. 12 minutes. I know people that sit on the toilet longer than 12 minutes. I'm not going to say who because they live in my household.
Probably a lot of people listening to this probably spend more than 12 minutes
I
on
guarantee.
the toilet. Stop taking your phone with you to the bathroom, and you'll cut that.
The
bathroom
longest
time.
part of me taking number two and not being disgusting is the wipe and the flush. When I go in, it's time because people waste too much time on things like I don't go into the bathroom to read. No, I'm not there to read. If I want to read, I'll read all my books that I have behind me in my comfortable chair. I don't want to sit in my own stink reading a book. It's the dumbest thing I've ever. People are like, that's when I read. Or I read what instead of, here's another lesson. You want to be more disciplined? Get some podcasts or listen to podcasts, listen to audios, put them on your truck. And instead of listening to radio where you've heard the same damn song 12,000 times, right? I'm listening to Napoleon Hill Outwitting the Devil for the 6th time.
Dude, that we talked about that book with Bedros. That in of itself, if people would eliminate the music from their drive time and just injected podcasts or books, that would change 90% of people's lives and that get them moving in the direction. I'm curious how somebody can begin to change some beliefs though, right? So, you got guys like tough environments. Parents never believed in them. They were just, maybe mentally, verbally abused growing up. So they haven't had wins. They haven't had success. How can a guy begin to find belief, build belief within himself if he's living down here?
Well, you got to assign yourself small tasks. Like I'm goal oriented. I'm goal because all those things you said have happened to me, man. Told I was worthless. Told I was this, and I will tell you this right now. Um, Doing good things is very addictive. Like, like people laugh at me all the time, and I did it before. I make my bed every morning. It's a goal. The night before I lay out I am a control freak, and I control as much as I can. Perfect example. If I know I have something, I had this shirt and this hat laid out before we did the podcast today. I knew exactly what I would do. I control what I want. I control what time I get up, what time I go to bed, what I put in my body, who I surround myself with. What I can't control is like if I get in the car, what's going to happen there. But I can control everything. I can control how clean that car is, if that truck, the tires are going to run. So the best way I can tell someone that has lived the life of me is number one, start controlling what you can. Like focus on that. What time you go to bed, what time you get up, what time you go to bed. Make it consistent. Control what you put in your body. Log it. MyFitnessPal. Control it. Just little things. This has nothing to do with becoming successful, but what we're doing is we're building a foundation. It's about building that right? You have to build a foundation. You can have $1 million house. If the foundation's crappy, what's going to happen? The house is going to crumble. Let's tear down that house. I don't, whatever house you live in, I don't blame you, but I will hold you 1000% accountable. If you, after listening to me, you don't do something about it. If you don't say, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to get up. Don't hit the snooze button. Pussy, sorry. No, get up and attack it. I'm going to get up. I'm going to drop down and do 20 push-ups tomorrow. Okay, I did it. I believe in myself. Now what? I'm going to eat 3 good meals. I'm going to track them on my MyFitnessPal app. Good. I'm going to go to work and I'm going to say hi to 3 new people because relationships are opportunities which can then create ... I'm going to make time for me, whether it's gym, sauna, something. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to read. I'm going to control the internal clock of who I am and what I do. And then I'm going to tell it when it needs to rest. And then once you do that, you're going to get your pattern down so much faster that you're going to go, okay, now I have more time. What can I do now? Instead of just sitting around and moping. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Listen, just because people picked on you, told you were worthless, there's 2 routes. You can do what I did. For the longest time, I was a victim. Don't be a victim, right? Be the shining light that people look up to. And I'm telling you this right now because you changing your life will impact other people. And then you have an obligation as a human being to pass this knowledge on. Don't be selfish with it. The only thing you should be selfish with is I'm selfish with my why. I want to be a better father, husband, lover, everything. So I have to be a better me. But after that, I want to give back as much as I can. So stop playing the victim, right? Because believe me, I had a horrible childhood and we could go down that road. We're not going to. And I still have PTSD from it. But I don't do the things to my children that were done to me because it can end with you. You can end the cycle of BS, of negativity, of sorrow, and just be like I want to be the guy that's like the positive beacon where people are magnetically drawn to me. Even when I'm having a bad day, I'm never going to let you see that I'm having a bad day. I can't do that. It's not fair. I have too many people that look up to me. Yeah, of course I have bad days. Of course there's days I don't want to get up. Of course there's days I don't want to do this and I will do that. But the difference between discipline and motivation is the motivation gets me up. Every day I get up, I'm grateful, not greedy that I'm alive. And now it's like, what am I going to do with my day? And my thing is I'm going to kick ass. Tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to sleep in. And guess what I do when I get up? I repeat. I repeat and I repeat. And when you stop, I'll tell you when you're dead. That's it. And because you think here, let's go all the way back to the beginning of Frank Rich, right? The beginning. Let's talk about the night that your parents conceived you. Hear me out. Let's just hear me out, okay? I don't need to know the details. All I know is that millions and millions, and this is, I want to bring this to full circle for all you negative people out there. because this is what it took for me to understand it. Millions and millions of sperm of human beings at the beginning of their life were racing to the egg. You made it.
Mm-hmm.
Millions didn't. Millions. So right now you're already a 1 out of million statistic.
240 trillion. One
Is that,
out of
I don't know what it is.
240
It's
trillion.
ridiculous.
That is I don't even know how people. I don't know how this is able to be proven. But the odds of being born a human being, 1 in 240 trillion. So when I hear people going out, you want to participate in this pool for the lottery ticket? Oh, it's at $1 billion this week. Are you buying a Powerball ticket? No, I won the lottery on August 25th, 1983, the day that I entered into this
Yes,
world.
and if people start looking at things like that, you can do that. You can also do the countdown. You know, if you want to do it, average male they're saying now is 76 years old. You can do the math, and you know how many days you have literally left on Earth. And I'll tell you what, if that they actually have a calendar that you can go to and get it, it has a countdown. I had to take it down. It scared the crap out of me. I'm like, I don't need that. I'm not going to pace myself. I'm just going to pretend like every day on earth is my last day because I've already won the
Mm.
lottery.
And
Just
it
like
could be. Yeah.
if you do have a spouse, she could have chose anybody. She chose you. It's insane. Like the way I met my wife, it wasn't supposed to happen, but it happened. Something from a higher power said, you need to meet this woman. The day that I met my wife, she wasn't my wife, I knew she was going to be, I knew it. I was like, I'm going to marry that woman. I told her that, and she goes, you're the shortest guy I've ever met, like dated. I was like, but you know what? 19 years later, there she is. So suck it. Don't tell her I said that. She would listen to that.
Do you know Dr. Trevor, Smashworks?
Of course I do.
Bachmeyer. You remind me a lot when I hear you talk about your wife, man. That's how Trevor talks about his. I had a chance to spend some time with both of them. Incredible
She's a
people.
savage. I tell you what,
Oh, she
they
is a
got in a fight.
beast,
I really
dude.
think she'd kick his ass.
Oh, she is a beast. A lot of guys out there though, then maybe they don't know if they're ever gonna find this right woman. Like speak to the guys out there that are maybe working through and maybe they're finding like how were you able to show up? I know call from God, higher power. Like any advice to the men out there like myself, right? Almost 40 years old, building a successful business, want nothing more than to have a wife, have a family, leave a legacy behind me. What can a guy do to prepare himself when he meets this right woman to be ready
Well, I
to
think the
jump
more in
in?
tuned you are with yourself and the more comfortable and capable you are in your abilities, the more confident you're going to be to meet these people, right? I mean, I met my wife on a fluke on a Monday night, but I can talk to anybody. I couldn't talk to her. Thank God she came up to me. Um, but but that's like guys that say you can't get to the gym. Listen to me. I'm gonna let everybody know this little secret. When you first met your spouse, or you meet a woman, you are not attracted to her personality. You're attracted to her physical appearance. And you want to know what discipline in the rawest form is? A human being that's in shape. It is. It shows discipline. Someone that's well groomed, right? I shaved my neck before I came up here. It was little hair. I wasn't going to show up like that. Your mustache is breathtaking. But my hair was a little messy, so I throw a hat on. I didn't have time to do that because I was out wearing a beanie cap. But that is that first just initial sighting. That's what you're doing. You're like, think of how many people in life you surpass. Even if they're attractive, why didn't you talk to them? A lot of times men are scared to talk to women because they're worried what? They're worried what? She's going to say no with someone else? Wow, he's a lucky guy. You're not interested in me? Okay, cool. Thank you. I just want to let you know you're beautiful. Imagine how much easier it would be. Or you could use my lesbian line, but we won't do that. We won't do that. But my point is it's because I'm comfortable with myself. I work out. I take care of myself. I know that this right now is the best version of me that I'm going to be. So why on earth wouldn't I want to share that with someone that I'm physically attracted to? Now, the real part is figuring out if the mental and emotional adds up with that, right? Because listen, everybody's freaking crazy. You just got to find the right balance of crazy with you. That's all it is, man. That's it. Like there's no perfect woman out there. There's no perfect men out there. You just have to find whatever the crazy perfect match is. And me and my wife, we bicker but I love her. I wouldn't trade her in for anything. but just be more in tuned and more confident with yourself. And how can you do that? Just be in shape. Like if you look like a slob, tighten your shit up. I don't know how else to say it. At least you mean you got a big giant mustache on you, but it looks like you take care of it, right? It's not all hanging over your lips, and people see that, right? I make sure that the surroundings behind me, my pictures are straight. I want to make sure I don't like the light in here today because I'm going to fix that as soon as we're done. But I'm always because since the day you were born until the day you die, you're being evaluated and judged. So my thing is just come out of the gate as strong and hard as you can. Be physically fit, and then after that, read, be mentally and emotionally stable, be able to carry a great conversation. And when you first meet somebody, if your life's been shit, don't go telling somebody your life's shit. Just don't go, oh man, no. Like when I met my wife, I recently I was engaged and it didn't work out like 6 months before. First thing I'm saying, oh man, you remind me of my friend. Oh, I'm not going to do that. Um, I just wanted to get to know her. And then she wanted to get to know me. And so it's because I was kind of, she takes care of herself too. But I knew this was like, wow, this is a beautiful woman. She's got eyes that literally set a thousand ships to sea. But she's, we just connected. And my here's my point to meeting someone, guys, and especially men. If you just, if, even if, what's the worst that's going to happen? Someone's going to say no. Even if I'm with my wife and a guy doesn't see her giant diamond she has and he hits on her, and she says I'm with someone, he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're a lucky woman." I take that as a thank you. I'm like, great. Now, if you go pushing it, we're going to have a whole different story. So my thing is take chances, guys. Take more risk, man, because don't let the perfect person pass you up in life. Don't let the perfect opportunity pass you up in life. Try new things, man. I try new shit all the time. Like I haven't built a deck since I was a kid. I mean, literally, I could have just said no and it could have taken him twice as long to do, but I was like, you know what? I got my 2 sales in today. I'm working on one more. I got a podcast. Let's do it. As soon as we're done with this podcast, I'm going back out to help him. As soon as I've done that, I've got my day scheduled out. I'm going to spend time with my daughter because my wife has her church group tonight here. So that's what we do. It's all about time management, right? Prioritize, strategize, monetize. That's what I do with everything in life. And
No,
monetize is not money, it's creating growth. Remember the growth.
yeah, yeah, no, I love that, love that. So with women, it's confidence, and then be interested and interesting, right? Be
Yeah, you
interested
gotta,
in
yeah.
what they're about, and then have some things about yourself that are going to bring value to her life. You can't be a dud, just sits on the couch all day. Like you got to have things, whether it's books you're reading, growth that you're doing, development, travel experiences. Hey, I'm going to the gym. You want to come along? Have things about you that are interesting
And
to a
never be
woman.
late. Never,
Ooh,
never be
ooh.
late. Well, I had a date with my wife, Trisha. I swear, I had to pick her up at her place at 5:30. At literally 5:05, I was sitting like right outside her door. Somebody called her and said, "Hey, there's a big tattooed guy sitting out there." And literally, like, I knock on the door like 2 minutes early. She goes, "Hey, have you been sitting out here?" I'm like, "Yes, ma'am." And she goes, "Can I ask why?" I'm like, "Too many things could have happened. This is my shot." And she liked that because and that's how I got my job with Bedros. If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're fired, man.
Dude, you know how many people show up 5, 10 minutes late to these things? And it's like, we're on a time slot, man. I love, like, you were here 10 minutes early. We were able to chop it up a bit, have a little bit of pre-recorded dialogue. And then we actually got started a
Months
little bit
early,
early,
yeah, of
man.
course we did. Because here's the thing: you may, if I showed up late, you'd be like, "I'm never gonna do a podcast." You wouldn't even have to post this podcast, but at least I'm here early, right? It's like you hit me up earlier, and I saw it. I knew I had the podcast, um, and that's why I came up here so early because I want to make sure. Because let me tell you what, guys, you think Buzz is hard Hell Week? Trying to get on this guy's podcast makes Hell Week look like a joke. That's a whole other story, but woo, we've been going back and forth. So
But it's turning out fire, man. I want to take a slight change of direction here, man. I'm just curious, what maybe you've been with Bedros now for a little over two years, 3 years
going on
now.
three.
Okay. Yeah, so you got this background, obviously in the military, right? Then you were in government, working in the CIA. What has kind of working with a high level entrepreneur like Bedros, right? Like he's obviously, I mean, he's one of the top dogs, like in the space, just massive visionary, executioner though, like knows how to get things done. What have been some things you've picked up since really entering more into the I know you're not the entrepreneur, probably more of an entrepreneur working inside of Bedros' companies. But what have been some of the key takeaways that you've gotten working side by side so closely with such a high level entrepreneur like Bedros?
Well, the learning curve steep. um, some of the biggest lessons that I've learned from Bedros is he's never changed who you are to get your point across. Like, perfect example, I sell for him. And Bedros is like, I don't want you to be a commissioned guy. And I'm like, I don't understand. He's like, because when you start working for commission, your morals change. So the biggest thing I've learned is number one, in order to be successful, you have to love what you do and do what you love. I love what I do and I do what I love. And I'm effing good at it. I'm one of his top. And I don't consider myself a salesman. I consider myself a talesman, and he likes that. I tell a story when I get on with someone. I give people facts. I actually, case in point, Bedros Keuilian told me, he goes, this is from Bedros. And I learned from Bedros. He is the best salesman pretty much on planet Earth. He goes, you are the world's effing salesman I've ever met. But you close more than four of my other guys. It's because when I get on the phone, I talk to people the way he taught me. Talk to people the way you want to be talked to. Never be on time. Always be a minute, or like call someone a minute early. And if they're not there, just say, oops, sorry, it's just who I am. I wanted to give you that attention to detail, so I'm always early. And then when I get on the phone with them, like perfect example, hey, listen, this call is going to be 20 minutes. If I do my job correctly, we're going to be off in 18 and you're going to know this, this, and this. Are you ready? Yes, let's go. And I do that. I don't have a script. I have steps. Bedros is like, don't you ever use the word script with me. You don't have a script. You're not an actor. You have steps. You have a process, right? And that's what we do. We plan, we process, and we execute. That's what we do. And that's why, and let me tell you what, Bedros Keuilian says, what is it? Never peak. His real thing is he don't lose. I mean, COVID hit. I was like, oh my God, I'm getting fired. He's like, we're going to make more money than ever. I'm like, huh? Don't worry. Right. And, truth be told, yeah, I mean, I do a lot of stuff with Bedros, but Bedros wants me to start going off on my own and doing my thing. That's the true sign of a guy with class. I'm no threat to Bedros, but he's like, if you can move on and up, because you move to a certain point with Bedros, and he's like, eventually I'm going to have to cut, spread your wings. And other guys have done that with him. And it's, if I mean, I'll never part full with him, but there'll never be hard feelings. It's funny as I'm older than him and I think of him like a big brother. And he's just never too busy to fucking help me out. And I'll tell you, man, if he can't figure it out, I don't think it's existed, because I've come to him with some crazy stuff. And like him and the Dan Fleshmans, and the Sean Whalens, they think so far ahead. Like I'll come in and he'll be like, Ray, if this was chess, it's already checkmate. I'm like, damn it. Because I tried negotiating with him with some stuff, and he's like, oh, we're going to negotiate now. I'm like, yes, sir. And he's like, he just sits back. He goes, I've given him a few good runs for my money, but usually if we negotiate and he gives in, he already knows. Bedros' thing is, if you're going to do something, the next question is why, and then he goes, go, and he sits back and he listens. And the one thing I love about Bedros is, even if he's going to tell you no, he will listen to why you think it's a good idea. Then he'll explain why it's not. Right? It's so easy to just go, no, we're not doing that. But he explains to me why he is or isn't doing something, so then I can learn from him. Because his thing is like, listen, don't ever ask me this question again, because I'm taking the time to answer it now. So whenever he does something like that, I take voice memos, and then I like, hey, if a sale does this, I save it in my voice memo. I hit play. Bedros is like, if this happens, you do this. And I'm like, oh, okay. I don't have to bother him with stuff because he's busy. I mean, he'll take time, but he's running 7 companies.
I love what you said about the scripts. I've trained and built a lot of sales teams in my life. Been doing it for almost 20 years. One of my first jobs I had in my early 20s was training retail sales reps, like in the wireless space. And you see it, man. You'll hear it still to this day. You hear the guy that's just reading word for word like a script.
And you're the paper crank. Like, really,
yeah.
dude.
But like a framework, like you said points, and I'm like, oh, he's got a framework that he operates. If they say this, then this is the framework on how I reply. Or if I'm going to lead the conversation here, there's going to be the framework that I want to follow. Real powerful stuff, man. What's on the docket for you, man? What are you, obviously all the stuff with Bedros, but what are you kind of excited about? I mean, it's early 2023 here, man. What are you kind of looking forward to?
I'm launching my coaching. I'm doing
Okay.
one-on-one coaching. I coach on. Listen, I'm not a business coach. My business, I tell people, you want to learn my business is people. I teach you how to be a better human being. That's it. Like everybody focuses on the high and mighty dollar, and I get it and I love it. But you're not. Listen, if you're a dick when you're poor, you're going to be a dick when you're rich. Quote me. That's Brad Lee. He says that to me. He's like, so you focus on making people better, so that when they're going to courses like me, they're better human beings. I focus on the accountability, the discipline, and the breaking beliefs. I focus on fitness. I'm also doing my speaking. I work with John Daly doing speaking with him, Irrelevant Warriors, and I'm getting ready to do some stuff with Build a Bike. So I love speaking. I speak to, and we also do corporate training with the LTD. Myself, Steve, and even if you pay the right price, Bedros comes, which that's you know, it's a good upcharge, but it's worth every penny of it. We come in and we teach teams to work better.
When did proximity become such a big thing for you? I mean, all the guys that we've talked about here, I mean, we know so many of the same people. We've had so many of your friends on the show here. I really caught wind of this around early 2017, the power of a network, the power of being around the right people. That was when I first got introduced to Bedros, was late 2017 through one of my personal mentors, Vince Del Monte. So
Big
about 5 or 6 years. Yeah. So you know Vinny as well. Yeah. So for me, like my life has just catapulted here in these last 5, 6 years when I got around the same or the right people. When did that kind of become, prevalent to you?
Probably the day I met Bedros.
Okay.
I don't know how to say it. I didn't realize how important. I mean, I've always been a networker and talker, and I've always networked. But I mean, while you were talking to me, Sal Frisilla wrote me. I can call Andy Frisilla. I can call Sean Whalen. I talk to him all the time. I mean, I can talk to the who's. I haven't met Mr. Milet yet. That's the only one I haven't met. Dan Flashman. I can reach out to Dan Flashman. I mean, I can reach out to all these people because when I talk to them, I have no ulterior motives except to learn from them. Like I don't. Sean sent me free. I got all the lines not cheap. I'm like, Sean, you have to send me that. I'm going to be with Sean Whalen, Tim Kennedy, Michael Chandler, Bedros Keuilian, Dan Fleshman, Tim Grover, and the list goes on and on next week. And I'm a dumb Irish kid from Baltimore. The one thing I do is I just keep a positive attitude, man. Like I just keep a positive attitude. When I'm tired, when I'm hungry, just like, dude, the only time this smile is going to go away because I'm the luckiest guy in the world is when I'm dead. Smile's bigger when I'm with my wife and we're alone, but that's a whole nother story.
Love that, brother. Where can people connect with
Yeah,
Ray?
on IG, Ray Cash Care. My new website, I just launched it, raycashcare.com. Let's see, LinkedIn, Ray Cash Care. And then Blue Check for the Instagram and Facebook, Ray Cash Care, former Navy SEAL or Frog Mindset. So because otherwise there's all these fake accounts.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll get all that. We'll get all that plugged down in the show notes here. Final question, Ray. We end every episode here with the same question. So the title of the show is The Superhuman Life. For me, living superhuman life is really a belief system. It's how we show up each and every day, right? It's understanding or believing that we're put here for a purpose, but that's not enough. There's a purpose on our life, but we must be intentional in how we show up daily through our development and the intentionality at which we bring that purpose to service for others. So that's what I mean when I talk about living a superhuman life. But Mr. Ray Cash Care, former Navy SEAL, as we close out today's conversation, how would you define living a superhuman life?
No, I agree with you. You got to have purpose, but you also got to shake on some passion. You got to believe in, you got to have a higher calling, believe in something. But before anything, you got to believe in yourself. Some of the greatest human beings I know believe in themselves. Um, never quit, never quit, always fail. Because when you're failing, that means you're redlining yourself physically, mentally, emotionally. Because the SEAL teams say failure is not an option. I'm going to tell you this right now. Failure is the only option. I fail more than anybody and some of the most successful. I mean, I've sat with Sean and them. I said, how many times have you failed? They're like, they don't have a number for it. And I'm like, yes, I know I failed millions of times. They're like, listen, you got to fail trillions of times to make millions of dollars and to make millions of impacts. So I'm like, yes. So my point, if you want to be a superhuman being, right? Stop being status driven and start being purpose driven. Have a purpose, make an impact.
Amen, brother. Guys, you heard it out there. Discipline, accountability, breaking limiting beliefs, but more importantly than anything, take risks, take chances, live with passion, live with purpose, and fail as much as you possibly can. Ray, you are a gift, brother. We appreciate you. Guys, if you got value out of this show, you can support us in one of two ways. First off, if you haven't done so yet and you're consuming these episodes every single week now, twice a week, pause right now, go to Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening, take 30 seconds and give something back to us by leaving us a 5-star rating. But more importantly, if there's somebody in your life that is struggling with maybe some beliefs, maybe they're struggling with breaking through in their life, do us a favor, but do them the blessing by sharing this conversation with them. But for Ray Cash Claire, Frank Rich, we love you guys, and we'll see you next week.